Welcome to episode 17 of the tutorial series Livewire 3 from scratch. My name is William Juma. In this episode we will learn about loading states in Livewire 3. Loading indicators are essential in giving users feedback about the processes that are taking place in the backend. An example is when a user has submitted data in a form. We can show them a loader that says saving. We can also inform once the data has been saved. Loaders therefore are a good feedback system for good user experience. I would like us to go ahead and demonstrate how we can be able to use loaders in Livewire 3 and be able to implement loading states. What I would like us to do is to create a new Livewire component. So we are going to run the command php artisan make Livewire, then the name of our component. So let me call it loading example, like that. I will hit enter, and of course this you create for us two files, one of them inside Livewire app Livewire, which is called loading example, and another file inside our views Livewire, that is loading example. So for us to be able to load this class of ours, I would like us to be able to create a method in web.php, a route in web.php, for us to be able to do that. So let me extend this a bit. Above here where we are importing our classes, I can be able to just copy this and be able to call this loading example, like that. I also want us to have a route, so you just create one. I will copy the previous one down here. I want to call it loading, and then of course here we can call it loading example. That is good enough. I would like us to then go to our Livewire class, the loading example Livewire class, and inside here I would like us to create two methods. So I want us to have public function save, so that will be a method for saving, and then I want us to just copy this and be able to create another method here, which we are going to call delete, like that. Inside our Livewire class, the component, the loading example component, I want us to just change this title, and I want us to call it loading states, like that. And I will also go ahead and give it a class of text primary, like that. Inside here I would like us to have a form, so we can have form, and the submit method of the form we can have wire submit, then we will submit to the save method that we have just created previously. I will close the form, and inside this form I would like us to have a button. So here we can have button type submit, and then we can be able to give it a class of btn primary. We will be able to close the button, and then inside the button what I want us to type is save. That is what I want us to have here. When I refresh our page and I visit loading, this is what we are displaying. If I attempt to click on save, you can see the button is disabled for some second, just to show that something is working in the background. On top of the disabled button, we can also add a bootstrap spinner. So let me go ahead and do that. So before this one, we can be able to add a spinner. Now we have div with a class of spinner border hyphen border, and since this will be a very big spinner, I can be able to make it smaller by having spinner border hyphen sm for small. And then of course we can close it, can close that div. Doesn't require any further attention from us. And then for us to be able to hide this spinner when the button has not been clicked, because currently if we refresh, you can see the spinner is live even when the button has not been clicked. For us to hide it momentarily before the button has been clicked, we can be able to just have wire full colon loading like that, and that you'll be able to add this display none to the CSS. So for the loading button, now it's not, for the spinner it's not being shown, but when I click save, now it's shown, and then the button is also disabled. We can also have a div that displays a message when this button is clicked. So let us go ahead and see how we can be able to do that. So above the button, still inside the form, I would like us to have a div. So we're going to have a div with a class of alert primary, like that, just similar to whatever it is that you're having on the other side. How you close the div, and inside this div I'm going to have some text, maybe saving form, something of that sort. You can be able to have it like that. Of course, we will also use wire loading to display it only when we are saving the form, or only when we have clicked the button. So let me refresh, and as you can see, everything looks nice, but when I click the save button, now we can have saving form being displayed here. It is possible to remove elements when we submit the form. I want to have an example here where we have instructions. So on top of this div that we are having here, I want us to have another div which will be having instructions. So div class, let me call it alert. Maybe we can still give it alert primary, or yes, maybe alert warning, just to have a different thing with it. And inside this div, I would like us to have some text, so we can say instructions, like that. Obviously, currently, because we have not been able to sort of remove it, it will be displayed throughout, whether we click the button to save or not. But we can be able to remove this when we click save. And what we are going to do, we are going to attach here wire loading, and then we attach .remove. So what this means is that when this form is loading, then we can be able to remove the instructions. So as you can see, the instructions are being displayed currently, but when we click save, now the instructions are disappearing momentarily. Basically, that is how we can be able to remove elements. Let us create another button outside the form. When you click on this button, it is not disabled by default because it is not inside the form tag. So I want us to have another button here, and I want it to be outside the form tag. So here I want us to have button like that, and then we will close the button that way. I want to give it a div with a class of btn danger, like that. And then the name of the button, let me call it delete. After that, we can be able to submit this button to the delete method which we created in the background. So here we can have wire click, and then we can submit to a method called delete that way. So now if we are to refresh, now what is happening, we have a delete button here, but when I click it, it is not being disabled. Forget about what else is happening, but it's not being disabled. For us to be able to achieve that, we can be able to attach onto this button wire loading dot attribute like that, and we can set it to disabled. So this is how you can be able to give that nice loading feeling to a button of that is not within the form. So we have other buttons that have just a click handler method that handles them. So when I refresh and attempt to click on delete button, as you can see now, it's being momentarily disabled. But obviously it is also initiating a loading state on this other button that we have here. It is still possible for us to add a spinner to our delete button. And so what I'm going to do, I'm going to copy exactly what we have in our save function and be able to display it inside this delete button. So basically I'm going to just move the button downwards like that and create some space where we will paste the loader here. So I can be able to copy this spinner in entirety and be able to also have it pasted here. Basically the effect will be the same. So when we refresh again, if we click the delete button, now you can see it's having a nice loader. I would like us to also add some text, because for this first button we have added some text that we are calling saving form. I also want us to add some text to the delete button that we display in between here. So basically what I'm going to do, I'm going to just copy what we have here, the one that we are having for saving form. I will copy this and then I'm going to paste it here just above our button, such that we have something displaying. In this case now, what I need to have here is deleting like that. And of course, as you can see, it has wire loading. Now I want to refresh, and now when I click delete, also we have something that is being shown here that is saying deleting. Maybe I can be able to modify the alert, so we can say alert secondary, such that at least it looks a little bit different from what we have in the first example. So let me load it again and click on delete. Nice, it's showing something a little bit different. But as you can see, currently we are having an issue whereby our messages are displaying when whichever button is clicked. So if you click the save button, it's displaying. When you click the delete button, it's also displaying everything. We will handle that in a short while. But before we do that, I want to show you what we can be able to have. We can actually be able to have inside this div that we are loading, deleting the message, we can be able to add a modifier in front of wire loading. Of course, we can add a modifier, for example, block. And then now when we do this, when we click that button, it's going to display something a little bit different. So when I click on delete, now you can see the message is appearing the whole page, sort of within the container. We can be able also to add a modifier inline flex. We can add a modifier loading.inline. We can add .block, the one that we have used, .table, .flex, and we can also add wire loading.grid, and it can be able to give you the different feelings of whatever it is that you would want to do. We toggle the CSS class on other elements too. It is possible for us to toggle the CSS class. So on top of making the buttons change the way they are changing like this, it is also possible to change even the sort of like the cards, the color of the cards and every other thing. What I would like us to do is modify these loading states to also have sort of like a different color. And what we can be able to do, because we have it here and it has CSS, we can be able to pass a modifier to this CSS. So if it is clicked, we can say wire loading, and then we add the class modifier, and inside here we can be able to pass a class that we would want to display. So for example, we can say opacity -50 in Bootstrap, and when I save and we go back and attempt clicking on either of the buttons, so if we click on this, you can see even the loading state is also being disabled somehow. It is also possible for us to add a delay modifier, and I would like to do that on this save function. So where we are displaying saving form, and we can have wire loading, and we can attach here modifier delay like that. So when we add this, it delays the sort of like the showing of that saving form by some seconds. So you can see it's appearing, but then it's appearing after a while. When I click this, it's appearing sometime afterwards. You can see sometime afterwards like that. And then you can be able to add a modifier even on top of delay. You can say long like that. And when you do that, if we are to refresh again, you can see we are clicking save, and then it's showing after some milliseconds. And of course, these modifiers, you can add long, longer, longest. You can also add dot short, shorter, shortest, and it will be able to do some variation in the timing in which this sort of message will be delayed from being shown to our user. Now, I also have been able to encounter an issue, and the issue that we have encountered is that when we are clicking these buttons, everything is responding. This one is responding, and also this other one is responding. It is possible for us to attach a target to whatever it is that is happening. So I would like to isolate the delete button, and so I will remove some of the modifiers. So instead of having block, I want us to just have something here. We can still have the block, but then we can attach, let me just return it. We can attach wire target, and in this case we can say we are targeting the action that we are having on this button. So we are targeting delete. So the action that is being done when we do wire click, we are having the action delete. So if we want to target that one, it will only show when the modifier that we have, or in other words, the button that we have clicked is the delete button. So let us check and see if that works. So when I click the delete button, is the only time when we are showing these other buttons. And then of course we can also be able to do the modifiers for every other thing. So even for the spinner, I would like to have the same wire full colon target delete. So I will copy that, and I will attach it here. So even for the spinner, and also even for the button itself. So once we do that, then we will be able to properly target our delete action. Obviously, saving is also occurring at the same time. I will also want to do the same for the saving form. You can be able to target that method. So basically, I would like to target this one. So wire loading dot delay saving form, and I want to add wire target save, because that is the method that we are hitting. And then of course also for the submit button I can add the same save, and then also for the spinner we can also be able to add that modifier save. So when we refresh, I want to see what is going to happen. When we click delete, we are only having the delete button loading and also the message for delete showing. When we click save, we are only having the things that are involved in saving, and you can see instruction is disappearing and then save. So if we do not want this to happen, also we can be able to do the modifier. But obviously you can see for loading state, for both delete and save, it is still working in a similar fashion. This is the end of the tutorial episode. Please subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell. By doing this, you'll be notified when I upload another awesome video. If you like this video, you can give it a thumbs up, you can share. You are also welcome to engage in the comment section. Thank you.